Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be looking at the explanation of a Pokemon card. So if you don't know anything about Pokemon cards and you want to learn how to play the game, this is the video for you. Let's go check it out. Alright, here is one example of a basic Pokemon. It's easy to tell. In the top left-hand corner of each card, it's going to say one of three things. It's going to say Basic, Stage 1, or Stage 2. In this section right here is going to show the name or the title of the Pokemon that is actually pictured. So this is Remoraid. We'll take a look at two more examples. This is Marshadow, and obviously a completely different Pokemon. And this is Ultra Necrozma, as you can see there. So it's pretty straightforward when you go to a new Pokemon. Alright, in the top right hand corner we're going to see HP 60 and a symbol here. Now the HP stands for hit points, and this Pokemon has 60 hit points, and the symbol right here is blue, which is water, and that means that this is a water type Pokemon. Our next Pokemon has 80 hit points and is a psychic Pokemon. And our last example has 110 hit points and is a dragon type Pokemon. So as you can see, there is a wide variety of different types of Pokemon and different amounts of hit points, even though they are all basic Pokemon. For the next part, we'll look at the artwork. The artwork is half of the card. It's really cool just because there's so many different variations. They're always coming out with new upgraded artworks and just different forms, different varieties. It's really cool. So in just about every single card, let's see if we can focus in on... There we go. This is number 223, Jet Pokemon. It has information like its height and its weight. The same thing with Marshadow. It is number 802 out of the Master Pokedex, has its height, weight, so on and so forth. And Ultra Necrozma, number 800, and you kind of get the point from there. Now the next section of the card is the attack spot. So this Pokemon, Remoraid, actually has two different attacks that they could use while in game. The first one is called Ion Pool, and the next one is called Water Gun. So during your turn, you can only play one or the other of this attack. You can't do both on the same move. You can only do one. Let's take a look at the evolved form of Remoraid. This is called Hug. It costs 3 energy and it does 40 damage plus the effect of the attack. Now you'll notice that this has an ability which we will discuss in the next section, but we're just focusing on the attack for right now. Same thing with Ultra Necrozma. It has one attack, Luster of Downfall, for 170 damage, and it costs 2 different kinds of energy in order to attack. And last but not least, we have Marshadow, again with the ability, but it's 1 colorless energy called Red Knuckles, and it does 10 damage. Alright, for abilities, sometimes the abilities on Pokemon are consistently active, and sometimes you need to activate them in order to use the ability. So we have a couple of examples with the cards that we've been using, and we will go through this. So Marshadow is one of the Pokemon that has the abilities. It says, once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard any stadium card in play. If you do, discard this card and all cards attached to it. So it's pretty straightforward. If you put it down on your bench, which if you watch the next video that will come out with, you'll be able to understand what that means as well. But you could do this. You can choose to do it during your turn, or you can choose not to. So you can have it sitting on your bench, and you can wait a couple of turns and then finally use it if you would like to. And that's one of the examples where you kind of have to use it in order to activate it. The second example we have is for Ultra Necrozma, and his ability is called Ultra Burst, and it's kind of always active. There's only a certain thing that lets it be not active, and we'll read that. It says, this Pokemon can't attack unless your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. So that means that this Pokemon cannot attack until your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. This next section, we're going to talk about the weakness, resistance, and the retreat of each Pokemon. Now, sometimes there are no weaknesses or resistances, and they're just left blank, as I'll show you in the other cards as an example. Now, Marshadow is weak to darkness ×2, and he is resistant to fighting energy -20. Now, basically what that means is that when a dark Pokemon does damage, it is actually multiplied when hitting this Pokemon ×2. So if you do 60 damage, it actually does 120 damage to this Pokemon. Now on the flip side, resistance, if a fighting Pokemon were to attack Marshadow, if the damage total was 40, you would subtract 20 from that damage, and it would actually be 20 damage, because if you did 40 damage minus the 20, it'd actually be 20 damage. Alright, let's go over a couple more examples of the weakness and resistance. Ultra Necrozma is weak to Fairy, so if a Fairy energy or a Fairy Pokemon attacks him, he will be ×2 the damage. Remoraid, weak to Leaf. Octillery, weak to Leaf. Zubat, this is a new Pokemon that we're showing you today. It is weak to lightning, and the same thing, resistant to fighting Pokemon. So if a fighting Pokemon attacks for 20 damage, then it would actually be 0 damage. And two more examples here. Leaf Pokemon, this is Sceptile EX, weak to fire. That obviously makes sense. And the Spinarak, also weak to fire. Typically, Leaf Pokemon are weak to fire. Alright, we'll take a look at the retreat cost of a few different Pokemon. This symbol right here, that's black and white, or with the black star and the white circle, means colorless energy. That means it can be any energy that's attached to this Pokemon is the retreat cost. So if this water energy was attached to this Pokemon, you could take and retreat this Pokemon from your active spot. And we'll get into that in the later tutorial. But basically it means that it can be any energy. So whether it's water or whether it's leaf, you can use that to retreat. So sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, and I've even seen 4 retreat costs. So we'll look at the basic Pokemon and the retreat cost. Typically, when you evolve, it costs a little bit more to retreat, but that's not always the case. Basic Pokemon Remoraid costs 1 to retreat. Octillery, which is the evolved form of Remoraid, it actually costs 2. But this is actually a stage 2 Pokemon, so it's evolved 2 times, and it does not have a retreat cost at all. So that really depends. You know, it can make a card a lot more powerful if you don't have to spend any energy to retreat. Ultra Necrozma costs 2. Sceptile only costs 1. He's an EX, so he's a little bit more powerful. Keldeo GX, retreat cost of 2. And for our last example, we have Slowpoke and Psyduck GX tag team, and it costs 2 colorless energy to retreat. Alright, for evolution Pokemon, we're going to look at the top left-hand corner of the card. And again, this says basic. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there is a basic, a stage 1, and a stage 2 Pokemon. Let's look at how you go from a basic to a stage 1. If you're playing the card game, you would simply lay down this card first. It has to be a basic Pokemon. And in order to evolve, you have to have the right corresponding Pokemon in order to evolve. So Remoraid evolves into Octillery, and if you forget, which is often happens, Octillery says it evolves from Remoraid. Now I could have a different Remoraid, it doesn't have to be this specific one, as long as the title is the same. So let's start. You would lay Remoraid down at your turn, and at the end of your turn, your opponent would go, and then it's your turn again. Then you are able to evolve. Then you would simply just place Octillery on top of Remoraid, and now this Pokemon is now Octillery. Let's take a look at another example. Here is Spinarak, and Spinarak evolves into Ariados. And as you can see right here, it says evolves from Spinarak. So same one, a basic Pokemon to Ariados. You place this card down, wait your turn, wait for your opponent to go, and when it's your turn again, then you can evolve into a stage 1 Ariados. Now one important example, like I emphasized before, it says evolves from Spinarak. Now basically what I'm saying is that you cannot take this Sceptile EX and then decide to evolve into Ariados. It has to be the card that this says. And that's the very important part. Now let's look at one more example, and that's all you'll need to know about evolution Pokemon. This is Zubat, who has a Stage 2 Pokemon. So we would lay down Zubat at the beginning of our turn, wait for our opponent to go, our turn again, then we could evolve into Golbat. Then we'd have to wait one turn, our opponent would go, and then we could evolve into Crobat. So essentially you would have to wait 3 turns in order to evolve to a Stage 2 Pokemon. There are 3 different kinds of trainer cards, and how you can tell is by the top left-hand corner. It also says trainer. Now, can you tell the difference between these 3 cards? What is the main difference? Well, it's actually right here. This one says Stadium, this one says Supporter, and this one says Item. And you'll notice that they're different colors. So items are blue, supporters are red, and stadiums are green. Now for item cards, you can use them as many times during your turn as you want. So if you had 40 item cards, you could use that in one turn. Here's another example of what a different item card looks like. This one is called Great Catcher, and it has a different effect than this one here, which is called Switch. Very easy, very basic. You just follow the instructions on the card in order to do what it is. Now this is a supporter card. The important part to remember about a supporter card is that you can only play one supporter card per turn, and you have to keep track of that in order to do it. That's one of the hardest rules to remember as you're learning to play Pokemon the trading card game. Here is one more example of a different kind of supporter card. This one says shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. And again, this lady's name is Cynthia, and that's the effect that she can do. This card is called Misty's Favor. This is Misty, and she lets you search your deck up to 3 supporter cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Alright, and the last trainer card that we're going to look at is the Stadium card. This one is called Silent Lab, and it has an effect. It says each basic Pokemon in play in each player's hand and in each player's discard pile has no abilities. Now this is difficult to remember because it's kind of not right in front of you, it's off to the side, and sometimes it can be upside down, but it is important to remember that it's always in effect as long as it's down on the table. The other important thing to remember is that you can only play one Stadium per turn. So like the supporter card, you can only play it once per turn, and like the evolution card, you can't play it down, use the ability, and then play another one. You have to wait your turn like the evolution. The last card that we'll look at for this video is Viridian Forest, and it has a totally different effect. I'll let you guys read that, but this is like the other format that the trading card game has for Stadium cards. Alright, just like all the other cards in the top left-hand corner, it's going to say Energy. We'll go through them, and I've written them on the card so you guys can see how to pronounce them if I don't do a clear job. The green is Leaf, red is Fire, blue is Water, yellow is Lightning, purple is Psychic, orange is Fighting, black is Dark, silver or gray is Metal, pink is Fairy, and this one actually is a dragon Pokemon. You can see the symbol up here, right there. This one does not have any basic energy cards. It is actually, there's a lot of different combinations, so it's kind of a unique kind of Pokemon, but dragon usually has a lot of different ones. You'll never see a dragon type Pokemon or the dragon symbol down for the attack cost. This channel is all about anything Pokemon the trading card game related. We love opening up packs, we love doing tutorials, we like playing the game. So if you guys are interested in that, subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and go check them out.